Welcome to Comics with Dan. This is the Comics Commute number 14. So this past weekend was Free Comic Book Day, which was a blast. I got there a little bit after they opened, and my store's policy is, or the store I go to's policy is that you can take one of each book, which I am very grateful for. Because I took just about one of each book, at least for the most part, the ones that I was interested in. I didn't want to take anything that, I wasn't really going to read. And the selection, I thought this year looked really good, and it turned out that it was just as good as it looked. I was going to do a video about the, just a full video about the different Free Comic Book Day selections, and I didn't get around to it, so I figured I'd just talk about them on the Comics Commute. So I'll go over a handful of my favorites there. There were some pretty good ones, and then I also this past week read the latest trade of Daredevil, issues 1 through 5 of Saladin Ahmed's his run, which is really good. And then I also read some Stan Lee Daredevil and some Hickman Fantastic Four. I also read, here's a couple of other things that I read, but I read Space Ghost #1, which is fantastic. I read Crocodile Black #1, which is very good. That actually comes out tomorrow, or at the time that this will be released, it'll be today, because I'll shoot this out just after midnight on Wednesday. So, and then I read Forecast from Stonehenge, Choose Your Own Adventure. So I'm also planning on reading the new Amory Wars book tonight. And I'll be posting a video review of that. But so for Space Ghost, I'll link to a video review here. And then same for Crocodile Black. I'll link to the video here. And I'm hoping to get out reviews for Amory Wars, Forecast from Stonehenge, and the first volume of Daredevil by Saladin Ahmed. So hoping to get those out soon. So you can see my thoughts on those in the individual reviews, but this Comics Commute, I'll talk about the Free Comic Book Day selections, Daredevil, and Hickman's Fantastic Four, I think. So for Free Comic Book Day, I grabbed a whole bunch of stuff. I like to get stuff, for the kids as well. But so I grabbed a whole bunch of stuff, but far and above the greatest one was the Energon Universe special. If you don't want any spoilers for it, then you can skip over this part. But the Transformers story was phenomenal. I mean, we could see the background on how Megatron lost his arms. We get to see why Starscream is so paranoid about Megatron coming back. It was only a handful of pages, but it just packed a ton of story in there, and it was like my skin was crawling from seeing Megatron kind of getting ready to plot his revenge. And my understanding is that he's in Cobra Commander. That Cobra Commander's like, it's got him held captive or something like that. I only read about that. I didn't read the Cobra Commander book. So I'm going to try to find a trade of that when it comes out. I'm looking forward to that one. The rest of the Energon Universe special, the Void Rivals story, had an appearance from Hot Rod, which is another Transformers favorite. And we're slowly getting more and more Transformers introduced into this Void Rivals side of the Energon universe, and I'm really looking forward to there's got to be some kind of clash between the two, where we get a really heavy association between the two soon. Same with the G.I. Joe stuff. The G.I. Joe story was good. I haven't been following it, and I've never really been that big of a fan of G.I. Joe. So, in fact, it reminds me of when I was a kid that I never got any G.I. Joes, but my uncle would always get me these Max Steel toys, which was like, knockoff G.I. Joe, which was, I have good memories of it, so I'm not bitter. It's just funny because maybe we'll get a Max Steel comic book someday, who knows. But yeah, so the Energon Universe special, easily the best one. I gave it 5 stars. It was awesome, fantastic. The other one that I was really looking forward to was the Absolute Power preview, and it was, the entire thing's a big long monologue by Clock King. It doesn't seem, I didn't care for it. I'm reserving judgment because there was a little preview of the actual Absolute Power #1 issue, which is drawn by Dan Mora at the end, and that was easily the best part. It was like 2 pages, but those 2 pages basically brought like a 2-star book up to a 3-star book. So I think that'll be interesting. Hopefully. I feel like the idea behind Absolute Power is good. It's just, I feel like the execution has just been rough. But, fingers crossed that it, turns out okay. My second favorite, though, one that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did, was the Marvel and Fantagraphics, the Atlas Library Collection preview. It was really cool. There were, I think, 4, maybe 5 stories in it, all from these new hardcovers that Fantagraphics is putting out. I really want to get these hardcovers because they're just gorgeous. There's a horror one, there's a space one, there's a war one. I think the horror one's already out, and the rest are coming out the rest of this year. But it's just this gorgeous art. And then there's also the Joe Maneely artist edition, they call it. And they're all just gorgeous. They're books that if I didn't have young children, I would just put out on a coffee table for people to look at when visiting. The art's beautiful. The stories are simple and they're to the point. They're really well done. It was a fantastic preview, and I'm dying to get these hardcovers now. I'm gonna look for, I think that In Stock Trades has the horror one, so I'm gonna try to get a copy of that, just to see the makeup of it, and I'll do if I do get my hands on it, I'll do a video kind of showing the quality and the printing and the coloring and all that stuff, and to see if the rest will probably be worth it or not. But yeah, they were fantastic. I was surprised at how much I liked that one. It was definitely my second favorite, right behind the Energon universe. And then I think my third favorite Free Comic Book Day book was the Snoopy Beagle Scout Adventures. I picked that one up. The Peanuts is always a solid choice for kids and adults, but it was hilarious. Snoopy always is hilarious. I think that Snoopy. This was a preview for a full collection of Charles Schultz Beagle Scout Adventures, specifically those strips. That's another one that I'm going to find, and it's very cheap. I think you can get it at Target for $12 or something. So I'm going to hunt that down. I'm always looking for good stuff like that. And I believe that in the back of that preview, there was a couple of other volumes that had to do with, things other than the Beagle Scouts. So I'll have to take a look at those and see what's worth getting and what's not. I mean, it's peanuts, so it's all worth getting, to be honest. But yeah, so. Another one I was pretty surprised by is I Lie Popeye. So I was looking forward to Popeye. I thought it would be pretty good. And I read that one with my kids, and my 5-year-old loved it. He was so hyped about it. And he had me read it to him, I think, 3 times within the afternoon. And he just loved it. And then we showed him an old Popeye cartoon, and he reminded me this morning that I told him he could eat spinach with his lunch today. So I'm starting to wonder if Popeye getting really strong from spinach is just a ploy by those mean old grown-ups to get us to eat our vegetables. But if that's all it is, then it's working. So yeah, I Lie Popeye was really good, though. It was a good story. It was a very intense Popeye story, way more intense than I thought it would be. But yeah, I mean, that's also a preview for a book coming out. My pull list is just crammed right now. I have more books on my pull list than I think I've ever had, so I can't add I Lie Popeye to it. But I might look for a collected edition of it later on down the road. We'll see. Yeah, so those were the highlights from Free Comic Book Day. The Marvel, I didn't read Blood Hunt yet, and I didn't read Conan the Barbarian yet. So I'm looking forward to those. But also the Ultimates and Amazing Spider-Man preview was pretty good. I really like, again, spoilers, but I really like how in the Ultimates they're going with Jim Hammond as the Human Torch. And I think that if we have Captain America in the Ultimates, and if we have Jim Hammond in the Ultimates, that it's only a matter of time before we get Namor in there. And if Namor shows up in the Ultimates, then I'm going to be pulling that book, because Namor is a boss and he's awesome. Yeah, so that one was pretty good too. There were a handful of other ones that were enjoyable enough. You can go look at my League of Comic Geeks profile to see what I rated everything. But those were the ones that were really memorable and really stood out. So I've been reading, I read some Hickman Fantastic Four, which started out really well. I liked it a lot, and I wasn't sure. I'm trying to read more Hickman because everyone talks him up to be this phenomenal writer that he can do no wrong. And so far, I've enjoyed his work, but it hasn't blown me away. And I think that so far his Fantastic Four is my favorite of what I've read of his. So I really liked it. I like the family focus, which is always a good thing for a Fantastic Four book. And I just hope. So my understanding is that Hickman's a long haul, slow burn writer, which I'm excited about because I really like what he's setting up with this. There's something with a time traveling Franklin Richards. There's this entire league of I forget what they call it, but it's basically all these Reed Richards from other universes that band together to fight threats in the multiverse. And so 616 Reed Richards joins them for a little bit, but and again, spoilers. But basically, they reveal to him like, yeah, we all like abandoned our families and ditched them so that we could do this. So it's only a matter of time before you do that too. And 616 Reed Richards is like, no, I'm not doing that. And so he bolts. but the guy's like, you'll always come back. And so I just know that this isn't the last we've seen of them, that it can't be. So that's really good so far. So I started reading some really early Daredevil. I think I'm about 7 issues through. Some decent stuff so far. Some of it's a little tough read. Just because it gets a little wordy and, I mean, back in the 60s, it was like, the reader couldn't be shown anything. They had to be told what the character was thinking in order to get the context. And it's just like, I think the best thing to happen to comics, honestly, is when whoever the first writer that realized maybe we can just let the reader arrive at the conclusion instead of creating a thought bubble to show them or tell them what we want to show them. But that being said, there's still some good stories in those early Daredevil issues. The Matador is the funniest villain I think I've ever seen. And, everyone gives Stiltman a hard time, but I think the Matador is even funnier because literally the entire issue is just Daredevil. Like, Daredevil never just dives and tackles people as his main attack, but for whatever reason, that's what he chooses to do with the Matador. And all he has to do is move over to the side when he dives, and he could hit him because all the Matador is doing is standing there and then jumping out of the way. And it's just the dumbest thing in the world. And it's but it was entertaining. It was funny. I don't know if that's what Stan Lee was going for, but that part, I just think the Matador was hilarious. But I started reading these because I'm going to do a video on Daredevil and his Catholicism and sort of, who wrote that the best and where the best depictions of Matt Murdock being Catholic are. So this is the first step of that. I plan on reading, I think we're on Legacy 680 something. I plan on reading almost 700 issues of Daredevil, which, I've read Mark Waid, I've read Chip Zdarsky, I'm close to being caught up on Saladin Ahmed, and I've read part of Charles Soule, and now I'm getting into the Stan Lee stuff. But yeah, so I'm ways away. It's going to be a long time before I get that video out, but I'm really excited to start working on it and kind of getting into that. I believe that's everything. I'll reserve the current run of Daredevil for a separate video, just because I kind of still want to gather my thoughts on it. But it is pretty good. I gave it 4.5 stars, so definitely check it out. Please like the video. Make sure you subscribe. I am only 5 subscribers away at the time of this recording from giving away that Wildcats book, which I'll link to here. So I just need 5 more subscribers. If you want to be able to win it, you have to comment on that video, because that's how I'm going to choose the winner. So make sure you comment on that video if you're already subscribed, and I'll make sure that you are in the running to win the autographed Wildcats book. Check out these other videos. I appreciate everyone watching, and thanks.